we move from one Republican senator to another. This is Republican Senator Bill Cassidy, who is more prone to criticizing Donald Trump and is able to criticize Donald Trump. But the clip I'm going to show you is why the Republican Party is doomed, is why in this civil war, as it's called, between MAGA and the more moderate Republicans, MAGA is crushing them, unfortunately, but that's the reality. It's why MAGA controls the GOP, because of what I'm going to show you here. So it starts out with Bill Cassidy acknowledging that Donald Trump is in serious legal trouble and the legitimacy of those prosecutions. And then he even says Trump should drop out of the race. I agree. But then we'll get to at the end something that we see a lot from these Republicans, where when asked who he would vote for in certain matchups, very unfortunate answer.
Former Attorney General Bill Barr says that the charges that have been brought against him are quote unquote responsible. Do you agree?
Well, I'm not an attorney. There's 91 charges, I think. I think the charge that seems most likely, seems almost a slam dunk, is the one related to mishandling of classified documents. So I can't comment on the rest of them because apparently you have to prove state of mind. You'll have attorneys after me that can comment on that. But there's at least one, which is the mishandling of the federal documents, which is seems, again, a very strong case. They have a tape recording of him speaking of it. If that is proven, then we may have a candidate for president who has been convicted of a crime. I think Joe Biden needs to be replaced, but I don't think Americans will vote for someone who's been convicted. I'm just very sorry about how all this is playing out.
Do you think that Donald Trump should drop out of the race?
I think so, but obviously that's up to him. You're just asking me my opinion.
He thinks so. Okay, for the sake of time, let's skip forward and get to this.
So if Donald Trump does ultimately win the Republican nomination, will you vote for Joe Biden or the Democrat over the Republican on the ticket?
I'm going to vote for a Republican, but my threshold issue for any person who wants to be the leader of our country is, will you take care of the issues before us? Both Biden and Trump both have the same policy on Social Security, for example, which is to do nothing. Unfortunately, Social Security is going insolvent in 8 to 9 years, which means that somebody watching this who's getting Social Security is going to get a 24% cut.
So, of course, Biden's solution is not to do nothing. It's to more reasonably, properly, as he's put forward in plan form, tax those at the top of our economic ladder, which is what we should be doing. And we shouldn't have a situation where the top richest billionaires in the entire country pay an effective tax rate in the single digits. And Bill Cassidy avoids talking about that, and instead, usually Republicans put forward plans that cut benefits. Trump, incoherent, so who knows what his plan is. But to the question that was asked by the CNN host, he answers to the question of, would you vote for Joe Biden if Trump was the nominee? He says, I'll vote for the Republican. It was sort of blurry, but it seemed like he was saying whoever the nominee is, I'll vote for them, meaning Trump. And that is why the Republican Party is falling apart. And that is why, or it has fallen apart, and it is controlled by this really extreme ideology. Because a lot of the moderates who hate MAGA, especially privately, go along with the direction of the party when it seems politically necessary. And that includes voting for someone like Donald Trump, who, again, attempted to install himself president, attempted to take our democracy and just make it null and void, just throw it in the garbage can and keep himself the president. You can't just look over that and go, but, he would have more conservative policies than Biden. Unacceptable. And that would apply if it was flipped. It would apply if Biden attempted to do the thing that Trump did, and there was a Republican who respected democracy but was really conservative on a lot of other issues. You would have to support the person who at least gets that first checkbox checked and respects the democratic process that they're running within. They want to be granted power through a democratic process, so first they have to respect the process. And they can't be convicted for a crime related to overthrowing our democratic process. So the principles that are put forward by some of these more moderate Republicans start becoming really meaningless when they won't actually act to rid the dangerous ideology within their party and dangerous candidates within their party that they sometimes will call out, because it would be too politically scary. And MAGA does do it in the other direction. They do, as we heard Carrie Lake say recently, if DeSantis is the nominee, no one's going to vote for him in MAGA because he's gone after Trump, because he's backstabbed Trump. That's them saying we won't even vote for DeSantis if he's going up against Biden. Some of them would, but Carrie Lake's saying no. But it doesn't go the other direction. Far too few moderate Republicans are willing to say that about MAGA. If there's a MAGA candidate, no matter who the Democrat is, we're not supporting them because of their threat to democracy. Especially Trump being the leader of that, who actually right now has been indicted twice for attempting to overthrow our democratic process. And that has to be more important than your stance on Social Security, even though Biden's is better, or your stance on any of these other policy issues that we talk about on a day-to-day basis that matter so much. But to even get there, to even battle it out in our democracy over those issues, we have to have a democracy, and Trump threatens that. And so that has to be checkbox 1 that you check before moving on to any other issue. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to be a part of what makes this show possible, plus get access to the full video version of the show hours before all the clips are able to be uploaded to the YouTube channel, plus get the bonus show on the weekends, you can do so by going to lukebeasleyshow.com/membership. That's lukebeasleyshow.com/membership, and there's a link in the description.